Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Ulam with Brown Harris Stevens. The show is called Becoming Brokerage. It's a show about the brokerage community, the people in it, previous careers, and current lives. And I'm thrilled to have my guest today, Mike Lubin, and we will be back to speak with him right after this break.
Residential and commercial closings to litigation, Romer DeBoss is your full-service real estate law firm. We blend big firm knowledge with boutique-level attention, delivering outcomes that exceed every expectation. Contact us at romerdeboss.com.
Well, I'm really happy to have our guest today is a friend and long-term colleague at Brown Harris, and his name is Mike Lubin. And Mike has been a real estate agent for 19 years, all with Brown Harris, I believe, correct? And prior to that, he had a career as a literary and talent agent in Los Angeles. And I know you pretty well, but I don't know much about your previous career. And so I wonder if you'd tell us a little bit about how you got your start, what that was like, and we'll take it from there.
I'm thrilled to be here, and
Thank you
so much for including me. I love what you're doing.
Great.
So I'm actually have a fun fact, and it's something I'm proud of. My first job, actually, I was still in college. I was a senior at USC. I was the assistant to the producer on Pulp Fiction. And that's the only thing I think about me that my son thinks is cool. I have no credibility with him whatsoever beyond that. But that was awesome. And it was when I was still a senior and I was going to school and had this opportunity, and then I segued into a job basically in the mailroom at William Morris, sort of that proverbial way to start out in entertainment. I was abused by that producer, and I felt like, all right, I love film, but let me figure out what other areas exist. And 2 years at William Morris in LA, and then actually was an agent in New York. I was there for 13 years, also working at the Gersh agency during part of that, film, TV, and theater, and writers and directors.
What was that like, your 2 years in the mailroom? Because it takes a while to get started in a job like that. And I know when I started in real estate, I would show up and I really did not know what to do. And I just had to listen to people. And so you're working in the mailroom. What was that day like?
Well, actually, it's funny. I skipped the mailroom. I was kind of in the proverbial mailroom because I had worked on this film before. The head of the director department at William Morris, a woman named Bobby Thompson, who was my first mentor, hired me. And the mailroom crew hated me because I jumped, the 1 or 2 years, but I had experience. It was legit. And that was rough. I was hazed. That didn't go over very well, but it developed a love of, especially of directors, filmmakers in particular. It's a kind of creative genius that is so unique. And she had at this time, she had Gus Van Sant and Tim Burton and Ang Lee and Wayne Wang and many others. Wow. So when you're an assistant, like those aren't your clients, but you're on the phone with these people and reading what they're doing and learning from them firsthand. It was completely surreal. I was 21 years old.
That's a lot to process when you're 21.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So let me just back up for a minute. You said you worked on Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
So were you on set? How did that work? What was your
Mostly
dynamic?
In the office. So my boss, Michael Schamberg, it was produced by Michael and a few others, and Danny DeVito and Stacey Scher. It was a big group, but I was primarily in the production office. But they were casting out of our office. So, like we had heard of Reservoir Dogs, and that was people in film that had already become kind of legendary from Sundance and I believe Cannes. But they were casting out of our office, and then the film was being shot elsewhere. But I visited the set on occasion, but it was just to be tangentially involved in something that had this buzz way before it came out. Everyone came in to be cast, major movie stars, because Quentin at that time was just thought of as like the most exciting up-and-coming talent, Quentin Tarantino, and is still considered that. He's a legend, and he was kind of already like an early legend from having made Reservoir Dogs. So it was really cool.
And he was a great screenwriter as well. And I do remember the buzz before that film. And by the time, probably long after you had already done a lot of work on it, there was a lot of talk about John Travolta.
Oh, my God.
Because he had been a big star, and then there was a long period where he was making movies about like Michael the Angel and bad rom-coms with Lily Tomlin. And this was kind of his comeback. So was he auditioning against other actors?
I think Quentin wrote a lot of those roles specifically for those actors. I believe Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta. And when I was at William Morris, Travolta was a client there. So it was from this gentleman named Fred Westheimer, who was his agent for probably many, many years. And it was so cool being in the background and watching like the rise of, first of all, he was such a superstar before that. I mean, if you think about what he was doing between Grease and Saturday Night Fever, you know,
the biggest star in the
unbelievable,
in the
and it
US
happened in
at
a
the
really
time.
short period of time.
Absolutely.
So it was really interesting being at his agency and just watching this rise, you know, as an assistant and in meetings. And it's just, I have chills just now actually, because it was also a very different time. You know, this was pre-technology, it was pre-phones, things were more organic and more sort of spread by word of mouth. So it was just like watching, you know, like a fire build. It was neat.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And so you're working there, you've kind of jumped the mailroom, and then was it a slow process to work your way up the ladder and establish your own clients? How
I'm
did
so
that
grateful.
work?
It could take many years. It took 4 years for me, but coming back to New York, I started at NYU, and getting back to New York was such a goal for me. I actually grew up in LA. So working in LA in that job didn't feel the right kind of interesting for me. Like I really wanted to be in New York, which is where so much of the talent I loved is based. And William Morris certainly at that time had a huge presence on the talent agent side.
Right.
It's cut down a little bit. They had like 10 full-time film agents who also had like theater legends and playwright and theater director legends. So getting to the New York office was a huge goal. And I got a job working as the assistant to a guy who specialized in books to film, which is such a cool niche.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
selling literary properties to film producers and filmmakers. And after a year of that, I was promoted. So it was about 3 years total, and I became a coordinator in the TV department. And TV was not cool then the way it is now.
You didn't have big stars looking to do TV shows.
And it was really a second-class citizen to film and to theater. And now, of course, television in so many ways could even be more prestigious, and the most amazing people in the world are doing it. But it really wasn't then. It was like MOWs, movies of the week, and but I was just so grateful for that next step up, where I wasn't answering someone's phone and just being and that's really when my career started.
So it's a pretty frenetic pace you work at in both real estate and as a talent agent. I've heard stories about people who are talent agents who sit down and they're at their desk on the phone all day, barely time to get up and run to the bathroom. Was that your life?
So here's it's amazing how much time has passed and how different things are. Agents used to smoke at their desk when I started. If you think about what that would be like today.
Yeah, could you imagine?
I mean, you can't even... Literally, agents were at their and like had ashtrays and were rolling calls. Didn't have a computer on their desk. I mean, it sounds like I'm talking about the '60s, but this was
Mad Men kind of
unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm picturing an Edward G. Robinson film from the '40s, and people don't even smoke in front of their office buildings now.
I mean, it would be so unacceptable, but that was the culture. And we were coming off of that other culture. Super frenetic, and thankfully I'm wired that way to kind of respond to that. And in some ways that calms me. I love a lot of activity. I love being busy doing. The more I have to do at one time is usually the more I'm capable of. It kind of just jibes with my chemical personality and having a lot of things happening at the same time. And certainly, as you know, in real estate, it's always a lot at once. You know, we have to wear different hats and shift gears on a dime. And that's very much what that agency business was like, too.
So just to jump ahead, apropos of what you were talking about, I have a personal story about you that you may not remember. I was going through one of those periods where I had about 7 things going on at once, and they were all remarkably stressful with very difficult personalities involved. And I thought, who can I call up just to get a little bit of, equilibrium? And so I thought of you because you're very calm. And I called you up and told you all these things that were going on, this board application and then this broker and this and that. And you just said to me, it's a stressful job. And it was it was a very simple sentence, but it was so empathetic. But yet you weren't taking on any of the energy that I had, which is what I needed at that time. And so I thought to myself, this is why one of the reasons Mike is such a great broker, because a client is going to call him up and the world's falling apart and you're calm and rational. And is that something that comes naturally to you? How did you develop that?
I hope I followed it up by saying, and it's going to be okay. Like if I usually try to add that in, because it is always going to be okay.
I think you said it might be okay.
Okay, it might be okay. I didn't say start packing your bags because everything's about to fall apart.
There's a great job in the mailroom.
Exactly. I'll make
Brown
a call
Harris.
for you. Yeah. No, like everything feels so stressful. It is so stressful because we are dealing, as a talent agent, you're dealing with someone's livelihood and creativity and ego and pride. And in real estate, it's their home and they have personal situations going on. Maybe there's a death or an illness or a divorce or having a baby. It is so stressful. It's not imagined. It's real. So we have to be calming and soothing and analytical. And it is going to be okay. And it often feels like it's not because there's so many challenges and so many obstacles, especially in New York, where it's such a fast pace. People are so smart and they're so involved in everything. It's not like we're just hired and they surrender to us and just say, take over and we trust you.
Right.
It's never that
Call
way.
me before the closing.
Right.
Tell me when to be there.
They are nervous. And everyone is so nervous right now. And that's a common theme, but I feel like it's that much more so right now. So we really have to be calm in a storm.
One of the things about being a talent agent, I've never been one, but I think when it's such a personal thing to be an actor or a writer and to have your work critiqued, I think it is a very difficult thing. And like you said, real estate, you're dealing with some of the same issues, but instead of creative work that's not necessarily being critiqued, but judged. Like, can I put this out there? Is it going to, are you going to be cast for this part? What do you need to work on? Try working on your voice, take a movement class. And in real estate, it's really the biggest financial investment people are making. And you're telling them your home is great, but people aren't going to love this kitchen. So you have to have those conversations with people. And I wonder if you can give us some insight about how conversations unfolded in both of those professions.
Yeah, this just happened last week. I am very pro staging. And staging in the sense that impressions are everything. The way we make an impression as an agent and certainly the way the home makes an impression. And the most minimal, seemingly meaningless things could really make or break something. So I really try to be very detail-oriented, whether it's I always have the windows professionally cleaned. Like just things that I'm famous for saying, closing the toilet seats before showing. Because 90% of the time when I'm bringing in a buyer, the bathrooms will have toilet seats up.
That always kind of surprises me.
From like veteran agents.
Yeah.
Certain things should just be a given.
Exactly.
Having some fresh flowers somewhere, having the bed made.
Right.
Having the lights on before the showing. And God knows, I have been the person running around like a lunatic because maybe the buyer and broker were early and they are late and they don't want to wait for me to get the apartment ready. It certainly happens. But you want people to walk in the door and feel like they're walking into a ready situation.
Let me find the lights. And it's just...
No, it's sloppy. And as I said, I've done it because it happens sometimes with timing. But this happened last week. I'm going to be listing a nice, simple 2-bedroom on the Upper East Side. The owner has been there for like 40 years. And she asked my honest opinion about changes we need to make before the listing. And I always do paint touch-ups and grout and things that could catch people's eye. There's an old leak. I want to patch and paint that. You don't want to give people things that they're going to get nervous about. And I asked her if she's planning on moving with this furniture. And she said yes. And I said, I really recommend that we swap some things out. And given you're moving anyway, I'd like to suggest putting some things in storage and bringing in some new pieces. And I think it went over okay, but it since has not. I think she started to realize that it felt critical and judgmental. The truth of the matter is I know her home will sell better with some lighter furniture and lighter art. She had, like heavy, moody oil paintings and a bright pink, very traditional sofa and a great. And you know what? We have to deliver, and it sounds silly, but we have to deliver things that are going to potentially hurt people's feelings. We see those first impressions, and we try to prevent awkward situations from happening. And it's the cost of the apartment and the process is impacted by having an educated opinion of selling hundreds of homes and seeing the way people react to things. Buyers cannot get past the most basic, minimal exposure experience. And it's our jobs to be guides.
Tell people what they don't want to hear.
Yes.
So we're going to take a brief break and a word from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
I'm Brian Scott Cohen, one of the top loan originators in the country and the #1 mortgage originator at Guaranteed Rate Affinity. Guaranteed Rate Affinity arguably has the most advanced tech in the industry. Our completely digital loan process makes it easy and efficient for homeowners, from a 15-minute pre-approval to the digital application and through closing. My team and I would love to help you get into the home of your dreams.
Hi, I'm Dylan Pachulik, CEO of XL Real Property Management, New York's most trusted name in luxury property management since 2012. We specialize in managing individual apartments, townhouses, and rental buildings held by absentee owners. We maintain our properties with the highest standards of quality and service so that owners can choose a hassle-free approach to real estate investing. Rented or owner-occupied, we handle it all. For more information, contact us at xl-rpm.com.
Looking to stage a property but on a tight budget and timeline? Stage with Stage and Fold. Stylish, lightweight, foldable, 3D printed cardboard furniture that looks real. Quick delivery and easy assembly. Staging starts at just $199 a month per room, and setup takes less than 30 minutes. Contact us today to stage smarter, sell faster, save thousands with Stage and Fold.
So you transitioned to real estate. Did you always want to go into real estate, or what was it that made you take the plunge?
Honestly, it was because I have a son who's 23, and at the time he was around 5. And being in that world, I was out every night for work and had to travel a lot for work. And I was missing my son grow up. And I had missed the first 5 years. I would try to be home for bedtime and rarely make that. And then in the morning, I was exhausted because I was out. And real estate had always been an interest of mine, and I would help friends find apartments. And it just felt like a very natural progression for me. I had clients. I was an advisor. I was good at the hand-holding and the therapy and the support. And I knew a lot about buildings. I love architecture, so I was always, I'd pass a building, I'd look it up, and it was a pretty natural transition for me, but it was really about a lifestyle. We do work a lot, and we work weekends, but we don't have to work nights, and we don't have to travel.
And instead of sitting at a desk on a phone or on a computer all day, although there is some of that, you're out running around the city a lot. So it's interesting to be in different places, see different apartments. So you've always had an eye for staging, decoration, and fixtures and so forth. And can you talk a little bit about that in terms of renovated versus unrenovated and some of the things you suggest to a seller?
Yeah, I love design. I love architecture. And one of our jobs, I think, sometimes we forget, like, we are salespeople, and sometimes we have to sell. If we have a buyer, we have to sell an apartment to them because they're not seeing it when they walk in.
Right.
They're seeing the furniture. They're seeing the wrong color paint. They're seeing bad lighting. And we have to sell it to them if we believe in it. I don't mean to be insincere, but a lot of it is trying to tap into the potential of something for someone, because we've been out, and I was saying this the other day, being a buyer's agent is being a good listener.
Right.
Because we're hearing what they're saying and also what they're not saying. And being a seller's agent, I think, is more about the selling. You know, like we're kind of talking versus listening. So I really try to listen when I have a buyer and guide them into more maybe what they're not seeing and help them to envision it. And design and architecture and color and light and greenery are so important. And they're ancient. It's been, you know, forever we've been decorating things, and it's Egyptian antiquities and China. Like humans are decoration oriented and take such pride in it. So and New York has such great architecture.
Oh, there's no city like it in the States.
I'm a pre-war fanatic. So original detail of anything, you know, molding and, you know, old floors and windows.
You're an Upper West Side guy,
I am.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Me too, for a long time.
I love our area. I love the Upper West Side.
So how did you get started, though, in real estate? You transitioned. Were people surprised? And how did you pick which company to work at? And did you have a base of potential customers?
Yeah, so I started, you know, not on a team and really just kind of working for myself. And I have to say, at Brown Harris, you know, Kevin Kovesky, who's the West Side manager and, you know, senior executive at the company, and Jim Greikar, who has since left the business. Jim, they believed in me, you know, and they felt because I had this potential client base and had been an agent that was a good segue. But it's a hard business to start. People think, oh, you're going to get leads from the company, and there's this pool of potential buyers and sellers that you get to like dip into. You don't. Like, you have to create a career instantly, and it's very challenging, and it takes time. It took about a year, I think, before anything closed, but I knew I would be good at it and believed in myself. And a lot of the skills I learned as an agent are so translatable and transferred to this career. So, but I'm still shaky about it. We're always beginners. We're always newcomers. Sure. Part of what makes it interesting is that we've never done the same deal twice.
Right.
I'm always learning.
It's always different.
It's always different, always challenging in different ways. And you could do this for 100 years and still feel that way. You know,
you're always surprised.
Oh my gosh.
With different personalities, different needs. I had someone who, she didn't even really care about the apartment. She loved laundry rooms. And we looked at a number of buildings. The laundry room wasn't quite right until we got to a place in Seward Park, and she saw the huge laundry room, and she said, "This is it." So you never know what you're going to get.
You never know, and that's part of the fun, you know, because it's like a treasure hunt. And again, that's the listening. Like, you didn't just disregard that as that's something ridiculous, and that doesn't matter. The view is what, but like, that's what was important to her. And there's always something that's important to someone that we have to figure out and try to get to.
And it goes beyond just things like, oh, I want an apartment with a nice view, with great light, and a nice kitchen. And then you have to listen enough to read through the words and
for sure,
and figure it out.
And it's emotional.
Yeah, it is. It's very emotional, and you're kind of on the journey with people together. So that's one of the challenging things I think about being an agent, is that you're on this emotional roller coaster with a buyer. Maybe they are having difficulty getting approved by a building. How do you manage that, where you're the ups and downs, and some clients react very strongly, I think, to the ups and downs?
Well, because you're facing rejection, you know, and even if it's a condo, whatever it is, it's a very vulnerable process. Our client is presenting themselves, all their financials, their personal relationships, every detail of their lives, and they're waiting for a group of strangers.
Right.
If it's a condo and you're not worried about board approval the same way, you are still submitting your entire life before people and waiting for them to respond. It's unbelievable. And
people have no idea what they're getting into a lot of the time, and that's why having a good agent is paramount to the process, because they need to know, I'm going to have to give not only these tax returns, every bank statement I've ever had, my credit report and everything.
It's really challenging. So we have to be reassuring. I'm thankfully an optimistic person, and I really do believe that everything will work out and be okay. So I try to infuse the situation with that encouragement, but I'm also very careful to avoid and prevent problems. Like I'm really good at reviewing the letters and crafting an intro letter. And what story are we telling? We really have to know who the client is to tell the right story because we're selling them.
Right.
And it's so important.
So what would you, let's say somebody is considering a career in real estate. Do you have any suggestions for them, or what advice would you offer?
Run from it as fast as you can.
Run away.
No. I know. And I find I have discouraged a fair number of people from doing it. I don't think people realize how hard it is. It's really hard.
People think I'm going to be charming and people are going to line up and buy apartments.
It's hard. You know what? It's a physical job. It's a physically demanding job, and it's emotional and supportive. So we are, we'll have people who want to have intense phone calls and conference calls, and we're on the street. And it's either 100 degrees or 20 degrees or it's raining. No place is quiet. New York has no place to sit down. And if you finally get into a coffee place to sit and do a call or an email, the music is blasting or there's nowhere to sit. We have an office to go to, but we're running around all the time.
Right.
And have to
20
answer
minutes here, 20 minutes there.
And we're answering complicated questions that are financial or personal. So it's what I tell people if they do really want to do it is that they have to be prepared to have a client base. So hopefully they have a network or are good at meeting new people or want to meet new people, because it's really about putting yourself in front of as many new people as possible at all times. Even, no matter how long you've been doing it, we are constantly reinventing ourselves. And you have to really be willing to do that. You have to be willing to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to work at all hours. Because we are working with humans, and if they are working 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and want to have a call, that call is going to be 9 or 10 at night or 7 in the morning.
Right.
We're not on our time. I love people have that misconception that, you make your own hours. I love that so much. Make your own hours, be a real estate broker. That is not the truth. That's not the case.
Pick whatever 20 hours a day you want to work.
Right.
And
we don't make our own hours.
Yeah, you're going to get
We have to show up when we're wanted and needed.
One of the toughest things for me to do is when I go to sleep at night, and it's usually about 9 p.m.
I'm jealous.
I set my phone to private.
Yes, me
and
too.
it's kind of scary when I unprivatize it, because sometimes there are going to be 19 messages and sometimes there are going to be none. And I don't know which one is preferable.
And people think also that, it's not life or death, it's real estate. The people we're working for, to them, it feels like life or death.
And it is. It's quality of life.
Absolutely. So it's as important as anything going on in their lives.
Definitely.
And we have to remember that.
So I'm going to close by asking you a few kind of random off-the-wall questions.
Sure.
I hope that's okay with you.
Of course.
I told you to be prepared.
All right.
When you show up in heaven, what do you want God to say to you?
You were nice. You treated people well.
What's your favorite sandwich?
Okay, that's tricky because I'm vegan, and my favorite sandwich would not be vegan, but I haven't had it in 12 years. I love a club sandwich, and I miss them.
Okay, you never ate one of the toothpicks by mistake?
I love the whole I love the whole thing about it. Especially from room service with fries at like midnight. That's like the best, and a Sunday. But
so, if you had to go out if you had to choose a restaurant, a neighborhood for an evening out, where would it be?
Cafe Luxembourg, 1 block from my apartment. It is such a classic and legendary. Great lighting, great crowd. There's actually is stuff for me to eat there, which is not always the case. Cafe. If you haven't been, I know you've been, but if someone is listening or watching and has not been, please go.
So, what is your day like? Like, what time do you wake up? What do you do throughout the course of the day? I know it's difficult to say there's an average day for a real estate agent, but what would a typical day, like today, for example?
I get on email at around 7 a.m., so I clean up the emails from the night before, set out the day for the day. I try to exercise, a few mornings a week. And I love to stop by the office. So I try to be in the office once a day at least, and it's near my home. And I love our office, and it's just really a good camaraderie and nice people. And I am on the run the entire day. I'm usually in 4 or 5 neighborhoods in one day. I'm going to Brooklyn after this. I've been in 3 neighborhoods in Manhattan already today in the rain. And I love that about the job, but it's also definitely something that could be challenging about the job as well. And I'm constantly on calls and texts and emails every minute of the day. I'm usually eating while I'm walking.
Right.
And then it usually ends by 6:30 or 7. And I turn my phone off. I go on Do Not Disturb around 10 or 11 at night because I like to wrap up whatever emails have come in with anything that's time sensitive. It's a long day. It's a lot. I'm usually pretty exhausted by the end.
And do you work Saturdays, or do you take one day
I'm trying
off?
to take Saturdays off. If someone needs to show something and that client is not available any other day, I will figure that out. But it's 6 full days a week,
Right.
and Saturday on and off.
Remarkable. Well, Mike, I could sit here and talk to you for hours,
Flew
but
by.
we do have a timeline.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for
It's such a
having me.
pleasure to see you and talk to you, and I've known you for many years, and you're always just a upbeat, realistic, positive person. So I can see why you're in such demand with your clients.
It's an honor to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Working with you, Brown Harris Stevens in New York. We work all over, and just grateful to be here. We work at a great company.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. My name is Joe Ulam, and the show is called Becoming Brokerage, and we will see you next time.